Hi, and welcome to another episode of Hot Takes with me, the Silver Fox. It's a bit of a small story, this, but it's one I think kind of just goes to the heart of who the SNP are. If you remember a few months ago, we did the story where they were trying to accuse Alex Salmond of being a thief, of stealing an ancient artifact and keeping it for himself. And then it turns out that this was a complete load of old rubbish. Because what had happened was a small piece of the Stone of Destiny, the Stone of Scone, if you prefer, had somehow found its way into Alex Salmond's possession. It was presented to him. He didn't steal it. It was gifted to him. I believe he used it as a paperweight on his desk, and that's absolutely fine. It's a lovely little thing, whatever. However, after he left office, it disappeared. And then a couple of months ago, the claims were made that when he left, he took it with him, and he's stolen this ancient artifact from the cultural history of Scotland and kept it for himself. And he pointed out that actually, no, that wasn't the case. What had happened was when he left, he'd put it in a cupboard, and there it remained. Well, they went and looked, didn't they? Because they're not going to let him get away with that. And it turned out that it was sitting there in the cupboard exactly where he put it, exactly as described. They tried to smear him, and it backfired. Well, it seems that the people responsible for the stone now want that piece back, and said that it shouldn't be in the hands of the Nats, shouldn't be in the hands of any party. It belongs to the people of Scotland, and it should be returned. And strangely, the Nats haven't done that yet. Let's have a look at this. It's only a very short piece, and that's fine. But I just think it just gives a bit of context to what's happened and to see why the Nats really don't want to give it up for some reason. It's almost as though by holding it, it's some ancient artifact that gives them the immortal power to be ruling by divine right, or some load of old rubbish like that. Let's have a look. There we go. SNP chiefs ordered to return the Stone of Destiny fragment, which was found eventually in a cupboard. They do have this thing. It is just a lump of rock at the end of the day. There's no magical powers imbued in it. You didn't have some ancient wizard standing on a hill pulling down the wrath of the gods and firing it in, something like, Indiana Jones style or something like that. It was just a rock, and they just used it, and that was it. Yes, of course it has historical and cultural importance, but it's not in and of itself anything weird or unusual. It is just a big lump of sandstone, isn't it? So it's a big lump of sedimentary rock. That's fine. Anyway, the Scots coronation stone was seized in 1296 and held in Westminster Abbey before being stolen and then returned and put on show at Edinburgh Castle. Now, I remember it at Westminster Abbey. I mean, I remember it was returned. Blair, I think, early days of Blair returned it. And off it went back up there, and that's fine, and nobody cares. And then, of course, when the king was king's coronation, they bring it all the way down from Edinburgh, shove it under Edward the Third's chair, and then he sits on the stone. It gets crowned, and away it goes. And then he goes back up to Scotland again. That's fine. Nobody cares. I mean, the Nats care, obviously. They're desperately important to them. Why is the king sitting on it? Well, he's not sitting on it. He's sitting above it. It's not touching it. And why not? It's a 1,000-year-old tradition. What's wrong with you? Anyway, SNP chiefs have been told to hand over a piece of Stone of Destiny to its official keepers. Now, it always gets me. It's Stone of Scone. Or as I used to call it, is it the Stone of Scone or the Stone of Scone? Anyway, the commissioners for the safeguarding of the regalia have asked the party to return a chip from the ancient coronation seat kept after it was stolen by Nat students in 1950. Now, I'm very surprised that there's any chips left, this being Scotland. Num num num. That's a joke. Please don't write in. I don't care. Anyway, according to the Scottish Sun, the commissioners have written to the Nat execs saying an appropriate course would be for the fragment to be passed to the commissioners to be held on behalf of the nation. But, they had that option when they found it. They didn't return it. They've kept it. They've got it in the cupboard. It's ours. It's our precious. You can imagine them running around Gollum-like, leaping. Because they've got this bit of the magic stone of power. Bow down before us. Doesn't work like that, does it? Anyway, the Scots coronation stone was seized in 1296 and held in Westminster Abbey before being stolen. Then it was returned and put on show at Edinburgh Castle. It was used for King Charles' crowning last year. Government papers said ex-First Minister Alex Salmond received a chip from the block in 2008, but it was feared lost after it was later found. It was feared lost, but was later found in a cupboard. Exactly, strangely enough, where Alex said he'd left it, despite everyone saying he'd stolen it. And by everyone, I mean the Nats said, because obviously they don't like Alex anymore because he left them and all that. And they tried to constantly make him out to be this bad person. Made him out to be a thief. And he said, no, it's in the cupboard. Go look. There it is. Look, you can see it from here. And lo, it came to pass that it was still in the cupboard. So, goes to show the kind of people the Nats are, isn't it? Anyway, Tory MSP Murdo Fraser said, considering the fragment has spent the last few years in a cupboard in an SNP office, it's high time they hand it back. We need to get this important piece of Scotland's history on display for the public to see. The SNP said yesterday it has received a request to test the geological properties of the fragment, and we agree. A Scottish Government spokesman said the commissioners will decide where the fragment should be kept following this assessment. Well, I'd imagine with the original stone in Edinburgh Castle under a glass case with a little note explaining how it came to be and a little brief history of where it sat and how it was used as a paperweight by Alex Salmond before being returned, something like that. It's a little bit of history. It just adds to the whole rich tapestry, doesn't it? It's also a load of rubbish, but it's important, for some reason, it's important to the SNP chiefs that they kept hold of it. And that's what's really, ultimately, very sad about them. Anyway, I shall come up and round off. Told you it wasn't a big piece, but just, we'll come up and round off. I suppose for them, perception is everything. If they're perceived to be the keepers of the stone, it means in some way they are the keepers of the heart of Scotland. But of course, nothing could be further from the truth. They're more keepers of the tumour of Scotland. Their policies are like cancer. The very fact that they've got a bit of this stone sitting in the cupboard is neither here nor there. It's immaterial. It's just a bit of rock, effectively. If it was thrown onto the street and somebody kicked it down the road, who'd pick it up and go, oh, look, it's the magic rock. They wouldn't. It's a bit of rock. That's who they are. That's who they are. They think it's important, and it really isn't. Anyway, I've probably infuriated people. I don't mean it's not important in cultural aspect. I mean, it's just a bit of rock. It doesn't have any healing powers, or anything like that. You can't shoot lasers from it, It won't smite 1,000 enemies. It's a bit of rock. Stop there. Thank you very much for watching. Do please hit the subscribe button, ring the bell, leave a like, leave a comment, please share the video, and remember the Nats are wrong about everything. Bye.